Now a look at tonight's top stories. More issues arise at the Corning Olivetown Terrace Apartments. Not only are there 30 families living there expected to be evicted because of the landlord's outstanding water bills, but now one tenant is facing apparent retaliation. Denise Lawson covered her windows with signs warning people to not rent there. Lawson says the manager sent over a man to spray paint the windows to hide the signs. The manager adds that the reason the water bill hasn't been paid is because tenants aren't paying rent.
Fireworks can be dangerous even for trained professionals. Take a look at that. Reading firefighter Jeff Granberry ended up in the hospital after a firecracker exploded in his hand during a demonstration. CAL FIRE and the Reading Fire Department were putting on the display to show just how dangerous fireworks can be and how quickly a fire can start. All fireworks, even the safe and sane kind, are illegal in Shasta County. Granberry has been released from the hospital.
One day after a massive operation conducted by Butte County law enforcement personnel, those who sell medicinal marijuana are fuming.
Action News reporter Court Klopping takes us inside one facility where shop owners spent the day cleaning up after officers gathered up what they needed.
They gave me a search warrant, and they proceeded to ransack the place.
Medical marijuana dispensary operators are angry over the way they say they've been treated. Over 100 officers converged on Butte County Wednesday, looking for lawbreakers at marijuana collectives.
We're conducting an investigation to determine if there is, in fact, proof beyond a reasonable doubt, sufficient proof to take a case for prosecution, or in this case, multiple cases for prosecution.
Officers served warrants at 19 locations across Northern California, 8 storefront facilities, and several homes in Chico. According to Chico Police Chief Mike Maloney, the search did yield results.
Computer records, there was marijuana, there was cash, and we have to sift through all of that and evaluate it.
Medical marijuana advocate and citizen collective director of patient services Chris Kidd understands why the operation took place, but says she feels the police may have taken the search a bit far.
Butte County has a moratorium down, so they should not have been there. So go in, cite them, close them down, but did you need 100 officers to be busting in and grabbing stuff and scaring people?
According to Kidd, taking out all of the legal channels for purchasing medical marijuana is a dangerous step.
Today, people are going to be going to the streets for their medication. We're going to have an increase in crime.
And collectives are doing everything they can to prove their innocence.
We're not trying to, sell drugs illegally. We're not trying to get marijuana on the streets or anything like that. We're just here to provide, documented patients with the medication that they need.
Maloney says while this process has taken weeks to develop, it's far from over.
Yesterday was by no means a culmination of anything. It's just a very significant step in the furtherance of the ongoing investigation.
In Chico, Court Klopping, Action News.
Police say it may take months, if not longer, to return the confiscated items.
It's been exactly 2 years since California's hands-free law went into effect for drivers, and CHP officers say many behind the wheel still are not getting the message. Action News reporter Audrey Asisio shows us how bad the problem still is.
But people don't realize that one time is what's going to get you.
It takes just one answered phone call or text message for drivers to put their safety at risk. And even though California's hands-free law took into effect exactly 2 years ago, CHP officers say the problem has not improved.
The cell phone usage hasn't gone down a whole lot. I think there's some people that have made the change, and there's some that just haven't got the message yet.
Just last month, CHP officers from the Reading area down to Willows distributed more than 200 citations to drivers using their cell phones. Officers gave more than 10,000 citations statewide. But take a look at this. Since the law went into effect 2 years ago, there have been more than 1,200 accidents, 16 fatalities, and more than 850 people have been injured across the state, all because someone was on a cell phone. Officer McIntosh says drivers still don't understand exactly what the law says.
If you're holding it on speakerphone in your hand, you're breaking the law. If you have a mount in your car or something that allows you to truly be hands-free, then you're in good shape.
CHP officers say they've also seen a number of drivers using homemade devices to keep themselves hands-free while talking on their cell phone. Officers say that's also illegal.
You have to have a hands-free device that was designed and manufactured specifically to allow you to be hands-free. those type of homemade contrivances generally don't meet the requirements of the law.
In addition, drivers under the age of 18 are not allowed to use any type of cell phone or hands-free device while driving. In Red Bluff, Audrey Sistio for Action News.
Now, the state Senate is considering a bill that would raise the fine for first-time offenders from $20 to $50. It would also raise the price from $50 to $100 for subsequent offenses.
Chico city planners will consider a new ordinance tonight to protect historic buildings. The proposed preservation ordinance would give the city more oversight on modifications and/or the demolition of historic buildings. There are currently 260 buildings on Chico's historic resources inventory list. Homes in historic zoning districts could also be subject to review. Concerns have been voiced about additional fees and whether owners should have a say about their building being placed on the list. The Planning Commission meeting starts at 6:30 tonight in the City Council chambers.
Bad news for the housing industry. Pending home sales dropped to a record low in May. The number of buyers signing contracts to purchase homes tumbled 30% from April to May. That's according to the National Association of Realtors and its seasonally adjusted index of sales agreements. May's reading is the lowest dating back to 2001. Economists say it's a sign recovery of the housing industry can't survive without government incentives. The Senate has breathed new life into a provision that's aimed at boosting home sales. Now, prospective home buyers that signed contracts by April 30th could have until September 30th to close and still get the credit. The credit was originally supposed to expire yesterday. First-time buyers stand to receive up to $8,000 in tax credit, and homeowners could get up to $6,500 for buying a new primary residence. The measure now goes to the president for his signature.
Chico area construction jobs are down 33%. That's the highest percent in the nation. According to the latest numbers from the Associated General Contractors of America, Chico was among the areas hardest hit by the construction downturn. 900 construction jobs were lost between May of 2009 and May of this year. Redding and Yuba City lost about 100 jobs each during that same period. Officials are urging Congress to pass infrastructure bills that would set funding levels for construction projects and encourage contractors to hire workers. More than 1 million Americans won't get their jobless benefits restored, well, at least for now. Yesterday, a filibuster by Senate Republicans killed a bill that would continue unemployment checks to laid-off workers. Now the measure won't be reconsidered, at least until Congress returns to work after the 4th of July break. If passed, the measure would add 99 weeks to the traditional 26 weeks of unemployment at a cost of $33 billion. Payments to more than 1.3 million people have stopped since the last extension ran out at the end of May.
NASA's Space Shuttle program will keep going until next year. The space agency made it official today after weeks of hints of launch delays. Managers agreed to postpone the next-to-last shuttle launch until November 1st. Discovery had been scheduled to fly to the International Space Station in September. The very last mission now has a February 26th launch date.
Members of an alleged Russian spy ring made brief appearances inside courtrooms in Boston, New York, and Alexandria, Virginia. The Justice Department is trying to keep the suspects behind bars as investigators continue to build a case. Brian Moore has the story from Washington.
Accused members of a Russian spy ring had their day in court. The FBI says they were ordered to penetrate Washington's inner circles of power, but one defense lawyer argued they got no closer than the local PTA.
The Russian intelligence service was looking for information from these spies that they could have found on their own simply by reading it on the internet.
I launched this business purely because I wanted to help someone.
No appearance today for Anna Chapman, who's become the face of the alleged spy operation. She remains jailed without bond in New York. And the alleged paymaster, Christopher Metzos, is on the run after jumping bail in Cyprus.
We are disappointed that Christopher Metzos was released on bail.
Double lives, a decade deep undercover as typical Americans. Federal investigators say they were onto this ring years ago, but neighbors never suspected a thing.
Out of anyone on a block, they would be the last people that you'd expect.
Out of the shadows and into the spotlight for an alleged Russian spy ring facing American justice. The Justice Department wants all the suspects held without bond. If they're released, all they have to do is reach a Russian embassy and claim asylum, and they're on their way home. Brian Moore, NBC News, Washington.
In federal court, FBI wiretaps of Rod Blagojevich are being played. Hear what the former Illinois governor was caught saying about Obama's old Senate seat. Up next on NBC 24 Action News at 5.
And we'll talk about a warm-up headed our way just in time for the 4th of July. Your 7-day forecast when ABC 24 Action News returns.